Hey y'all, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. A lot of stuff has changed in the last year. A lot of stuff that has been making me change, which isn't a bad thing. One of the things that's changed is I just got these glasses, so that's pretty cool. Another thing that's changed is that I like to wear hoodies now, when I used to be a solidly only sweatshirts person. Another thing that's changed is that I no longer feel like I need people to understand or feel like I need people's validation. I'm learning to trust myself. I'm learning to have more confidence in the decisions that I make. I'm also learning that a lot of the decisions that I need to make are not always going to feel great. But, I mean, that's just life. I've stopped shopping as much. I've stopped biting my nails as much. Started running again. And I started making videos. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff that's changed that I just haven't been able to really recognize yet. I'm sure when I'm editing I'll name 100 other things that have definitely changed, but right now, on this random Saturday in the middle of January, I'm thinking about what change is coming next. And I'm a little nervous. You know how you have those pieces of your identity that are so ingrained into who you are that you can't imagine being anything else? And not only are these things a part of your identity, but they're also, I guess, kind of specific. They're very much tied to certain things, right? For me, I am a family-oriented sim, first and foremost, all the time, without fail. Family first, people first. But I've always believed that family is who you make it, and not necessarily who you're related to. The found family trope in books is some of my favorite stuff. The Raven Boys, one of my favorite book series of all time. But the thing about family is that family is really, really complicated. Like, really complicated. I think someone's making my shot better. Speaking of family, this is my firstborn daughter. Her name is Luna Marie. I have had her, James and I have had her for a little over a decade, and she definitely changed my life. Are you ready for dinner? Nice. A couple days ago, something kind of crazy happened. And I know this is one of those annoying things that people do where they start telling you the story, but then they won't give you all the details because they don't actually want to tell you all the details, but they just need to talk about the thing. So, I apologize for being that person right now. But a couple days ago, someone who is extraordinarily important to me said something really hurtful to me. And this person is somebody who my entire life has wielded emotions kind of like a weapon, unintentionally or otherwise. And that's difficult to fully explain. The thing about it is that we always see other people's problems and their situations with perfectly clear vision. We go from looking at our own life and not being able to see very clearly. It's like taking your glasses off, you know? Everything's a little bit blurry. Everything's a little bit off focus. You can't totally see the forest for the trees. But then you see somebody else's life and you hear about somebody else's experiences, and suddenly these glasses, they're back on. You can see everything. It totally makes sense. Part of that is that you're probably not emotionally invested in that other person's, story the same way that they are. Not that you don't love them or care about them, but maybe that at the end of the day, it's really more about not feeling for the people in their life the way that you feel for the people in your life, not fully understanding who or what or about the situation. When it's your own life, it can take a long time to learn lessons that maybe you would see for somebody else very quickly. And for years, I realized recently that for years I was experiencing this sort of emotional whiplash. There's a clinical term for it. I'm not going to say it on the internet right now. And I excused things for reasons that would make sense if you had context, and also maybe wouldn't make sense. Maybe you would think I was. The point is, it doesn't really matter one way or another what the reasons were. I excused them for a long time. Now, as I've gotten older and I've spent more time in the world and more time in therapy and more time healing and more time understanding, I can't really let it go anymore. I have too much information. I care too much about the life I'm building for myself. But that is a tricky thing. The thing about boundaries is that sometimes, to people who don't know how to implement them, they feel like an attack. I think probably everyone's dealt with that in some way or another. But we're told that for us, for the person who is putting the boundary up, they're meant to keep people in and help us carry out healthy, meaningful, positive relationships with people. And sometimes those people who we're trying to keep in our lives and keep those healthy, positive relationships with, they just can't figure it out. And honestly, it sucks. I've spent the last 5 years in therapy trying to heal from things that happened before I could even remember them. Things that I thought were the root cause of my insecurities. Every other issue I've ever had that I thought, hey, maybe, I'll go to therapy and I'll figure it out. I'll figure out what's wrong with me. If you've ever gone to therapy, you probably had that thought. I'm going to figure out what's wrong with me. Usually what happens, at least if you have a good therapist and you stick with it long enough, is that you not only figure out what's going on with you, but the root cause of it is not the thing you thought it was. Or, if it is that thing, there's more to the story. And in the last year, really started to realize that there's a lot more to the story. And it's weird. Not the story. The story is just a story, but the learning that the things that these deeply understood beliefs, these deeply held beliefs I had, in some ways, not all, not totally, it's not that dramatic, but in some ways are just not true. And grappling with that has been hard. So now what? Now we're at the part of the story where I lean on the people I love. I make some hard decisions. And then I go back to leaning on the people that I love a lot. A lot of snuggling cats and hanging out with my husband and messaging my friends and making some choices. A lot of running, a lot of therapy, a lot of gratitude when I can make it happen. Anyways. I got all of my comfort films out, so How to Train Your Dragon. Sorry about the lighting. The Grand Budapest Hotel. I love this movie. When Harry Met Sally. A never opened 27 Dresses that I've owned for years from Half Price Books. One of the greatest rom-coms of the early 2000s, Fight Me. School of Rock with the always hilarious, always amazing Jack Black. Also never opened, also I've owned this for years. The Princess Bride, a classic that I actually hadn't seen in full until James showed it to me a few years ago. Juno, one of my favorite movies of all time, a piece of media that shaped my person. And Monty Python and the Holy Grail, another piece of media that shaped my person. This is like a multi-disc situation too. This is real fancy. I think we're gonna start with the Grand Budapest Hotel. There's just something Wes Anderson does that nobody else can do. Okay, so the Xbox stopped working. The controller started acting weird when I changed the batteries in it, so we're gonna go watch something else and continue coloring. But I am going to let you all go because it's 9:24 and James will be home any second. And so my alone time will no longer be happening. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Sorry this video is heavy. Hopefully things will not be heavy forever. Alright. I love you. Be nice to yourself. And we will see you on Saturday.